Have a holly jolly Christmas. XOXO, Gossip Girl.
Hi guys, it's Lauren Daisy. Welcome back to my channel, but more importantly, welcome to the 12 Daisies of Christmas. If you didn't see on my community tab, then I've announced that I am going to be doing 12, I don't know why I went like that, 12 videos, okay, in the lead up to Christmas. It's kind of like a little advent calendar for you, okay? I adore Christmas. It's literally my favorite time of year, so it just brings me so much joy. So I'm trying to spread a little bit of that joy to you guys as well. Also, my mum, she got me this Christmas jumper. Tell me this is not the best thing you've ever seen. So if I'm wearing this in every single Daisy-mus video, then mind your business. I've got a load of different videos planned. We're going to do some Christmassy ones, centered around like Christmas specials or things like that. But we're also going to do non-Christmassy ones like today's video, just to keep it, keep it fresh and fun. Today, we are carrying on a series that I do on this channel where I rank love interests from my favorite shows. And we've done all of Pretty Little Liars, Spencer, Aria, Hannah, Emily, Allison, and then we ranked all of them all together. So like 70 couples or something crazy it was. And now we've started doing Gossip Girl. So we've already done Blair and Serena. So those are on my channel if you want to go and watch those. And next up, we're going to be talking about Nate Archibald. And he has the most love interests of not just Gossip Girl, but I think any show that I'm going to be talking about. Dan did not call this man the class whore for no reason. He's himbo number one. We love him. I love Nate so much. And actually, I think the fact that he has so many love interests is actually a shame, because some of these were so good and I feel like could have lasted for a lot longer or been endgame for him. So the fact that he ends up single and has kind of like these relationships which aren't that great for him as a character, it's a shame. And trust me, one day, just like I did my Jenny Humphrey Deserves Better video, there will be a Nate Archibald Deserves Better video, because that man was a victim of that writer's room and I would never forgive them for that, because he deserved so much more. Nathaniel, he was done dirty, okay? He was done dirty. But yes, so today we're going to be looking at his love interests, ranking them from who I think is the worst to who I thought was the best. And I think I could upset some people today. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going to have quite a few hot takes compared to the most popular, opinions of this. But yes, it is just my opinion. So please let me know down below your ranking and who your favourite Nate Archibald love interest is. So yeah, that's enough rambling from me. Let's get into it. So at 13, I have Katherine Beaton, and I feel like this is pretty obvious. I think it's insane that no one ever really talks about this relationship that much, because it was so messed up. Like, it was so messed up.
I can't believe that you would try to make me jealous in front of my husband and our friends.
Well, did it work?
Completely.
When we talk about like Pretty Little Liars, obviously there was a lot of discussion around the age gap relationships in that show, specifically, Aria and Ezra, Spencer and Ren, everything like that. But I feel like Gossip Girl doesn't get that same heat where it should do. I think maybe that's because they didn't really promote these relationships. I mean, they kind of did a little bit. They didn't really call out that they were wrong, but also they didn't really support them and feed into them in the same way that Pretty Little Liars did. So I feel like that's why they get like less flack for that kind of thing. But there is still some relationships in this show that really rub me the wrong way. And this is one of them, because I feel like, yeah, like I said, no one really talks about how messed up this relationship was. And bless his heart, no one really checks in on Nate. Vanessa judges him for doing this initially, and like Serena does not seem to care, and it's all just very weird that everyone's like, oh, that's just Nate being Nate. Like, they even make jokes, like Chuck in season 5, I think, literally makes a joke about the fact that Nate knows how to swoon old ladies. Like, but which is funny, but also it's kind of not, because Katherine was late 30s, I think. When she did this, she was also played by Alice from Riverdale. Love Riverdale. And yeah, so she's introduced in season 2, and it's established literally in the first episode of season 2 that Nate is having an affair with her. She is married, and it's just so wrong. It's so messed up because he's supposed to be 17 in this season. I'm pretty sure they're 16 in the first season, 17 in the second season. Like, she is a full-on predator, like goes after him and like puts him into this secret relationship, and then you just like that alone, just him, you know, dating and sleeping with her, like it is not a kind of just, you know, oh, but they didn't do it. No, they were sleeping together from the jump. So that already in itself is messed up. But then it turns into this thing where she becomes so possessive over him and uses his family's debt. So he literally confides in her. It's literal like grooming predatory behavior 101. And he confides in her about his family life and feels like they have a proper connection. But obviously she's old and she's married. So she isn't seeing this the same way that he is seeing this, like from more of a naive perspective. And he then, yeah, like I said, confides in her about his family, and she then takes that and uses that against him to literally blackmail him into sleeping with her. A 35, I don't even know how old she's supposed to be, year-old woman is literally blackmailing this 17-year-old boy into sleeping with her for money. It was just insane. And she was threatening to say where his dad was because his dad was in hiding and all this stuff. And it was actually horrific, and no one ever talks about how messed up this was. And not to mention the fact that separate from Nate, she was also sleeping with her stepson, who was the same age. He was also 17. So she's a repeat offender. And Nate just didn't deserve this. And it's so messed up. And I feel like that would follow you like through life. I feel like that is not the kind of thing you would just get over, or maybe you would have a point when you kind of reflected and realized like the impact that that had, but it never does. And then he goes on to repeat a kind of similar pattern with Diana. So I think his kind of like trauma, like what he experienced in this relationship, is really overlooked. Kind of in the same way that Dan's is. Like, he literally sleeps, like the teacher sleeps with him. Like Rachel Carr sleeps with Dan when he is her student. And there's not, like, Rufus is the only one really that is like, this is so bad. And no one, at least in that storyline, we had Rufus being like, this is messed up, like you can't do this is so wrong. But no one was looking out for Nate like that. So, and then they just never talk about it again, and it becomes more about Vanessa knowing and about Blair and Marcus, and it becomes so much more about that you forget that Nate is one of the, like, he is the victim in this situation. And yeah, it was just so messed up. I went on a whole tangent there, but like, I wish I could put Katherine even further down on this list, but I can't. So she is rock bottom, okay? She's the absolute, just trash. At number 12, I have Diana for pretty similar reasons, except the only reason that she is above Katherine is because, for me, I feel like Katherine was a full-on predator. And at least with Diana, like, she seemed to actually care about Nate, I guess. I think she was probably around the same age, maybe like late 30s, early 40s. I don't really know. It's not really said in the show. And when she comes into it, season 4, Nate at this point is 20, I believe, like 20 or 21. So that makes it a lot less dodgy. At least he's, you know, of age. Which, the fact that I even have to say that is just like, what were these teen shows doing? But anyway, it's fine. So yeah, for me, that puts them obviously above at Katherine.
I add one more thing to your to-do list.
Definitely.
But ultimately, I just did not like their relationship at all. It still felt like Nate was being used for sex, and I feel like maybe because he's a male character, it doesn't get called out as much. Whereas I feel like if the roles were reversed, I mean, the roles kind of like almost were reversed with Serena a couple times, because like Trip was definitely too old for her, Ben was too old for her, but they never explicitly like said that they were kind of just using her for sex. Whereas I feel like there would have been a lot more outrage maybe around that. But with Nate, Diana literally is like, hires him in the office just to basically have sex with her there, and fires everybody else, and just constantly like toys with him. And he wants, again, kind of like the Katherine situation, he wants to be serious with her and he really cares for her, and then she doesn't want to be serious with him. Like I think she even has like another boyfriend or something, and just kind of messes him around and like uses him. And then obviously that goes on to play into like her being connected to Bart, and then like, yeah, her working with Nate's grandfather, and like, I don't know, it's just all very weird. And again, she gets like really like weirdly possessive over him when it comes to like Ivy and all that stuff. So yeah, not as bad, but I feel like still unnecessary. And the whole Diana as a whole character, I think, is just so confusing to the plot line. Like the fact that, yeah, Bart and then Nate and then all that stuff. Maybe I'll do a video like explaining her and like what actually went on in that storyline, because yeah, that was kind of confusing. But I think she was kind of iconic in terms of her scheming and like, you know, villainy. But I think she could have done all of that without the relationship with Nate. So then at 11, we're actually reversing we're Uno reversing, and we're turning the tables, and it's Nate this time that is in the position of power, I suppose, in this relationship, because at number 11 I have Sage, and Sage comes into it in season 6. She is the daughter of Stephen Spence, Serena's boyfriend for this, you know, this early part of this season.
If I spend any more time back here staring at you, that robe's gonna end up crumpled up in the corner, so I'm just gonna wish you luck and take my seat.
Can it end up crumpled in the corner later?
Absolutely.
I think this also did not need to happen. I think, obviously, she came to him saying that she was in college, because obviously he was also in college at this point, which I feel like is easy to forget, but he was still attending Columbia in season 6, I'm pretty sure. Even though he was literally running a newspaper, but whatever. They're multitaskers on the Upper East Side. But yeah, so she comes in and she says to him that she is in college and she wants to write, you know, a paper about the Spectator, right? And so she does, and then they kind of connect and they go out. And it's not until it's revealed that she is Stephen's daughter that it's also revealed to Nate that she goes to Constance. So she is 17. I believe she's 17. Yes, she is 17, and I will tell you for why in a second. So that is revealed. And for me at this point, they should have had Nate step back. They should have had Nate go, you shouldn't have lied to me. Because as well, they have sex. Like, it's not like a just, oh, they just hang out and whatever. No. She's technically still a minor in terms of age. She's not an adult yet, but it is like he didn't do anything illegal, if you want to put it like that. But obviously, like I said, in season 6, he's like 21, I think, by this point. And because of that, it's just too much of an age gap, I think. Because I feel like you have to look at it relative. Like, what's that, 4 years? Let's call it 4 years. Let's say that she's 17 and he's 21. 4 years when you are 28, 32, doesn't matter. But you're just at such different life stages between 17 and 21. It just doesn't feel right. Like, when you actually think about it, I feel like it feels icky that, you know, she was literally 17, she was in high school, and she was going to the Empire Hotel to meet this 21-year-old and to like sleep with him and stay at his house, and her dad was just okay with that because Serena said that he was a nice guy. Like, Nate is a nice guy. I think that's the thing that blurs the lines in these shows. I think less so now, like with Arya and Ezra, but at the time, they painted Ezra to be a nice guy. I mean, I guess aside from the book thing, but they kind of redeem him from that. They paint him to be a nice guy, and because of that, you don't feel bad. Well, at the time, I feel they were huge. They were like the biggest ship on the show. So people didn't feel bad for rooting for them because Ezra was a nice guy. Like, we knew him, and we knew that he didn't have bad intentions with Arya and all this stuff, right? Then when you like look back at it, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if he had good intent, which he didn't because he already knew who she was. So maybe they're not a good example. Let's go back to Nate. But like with Nate, like I said, kind of like the Ezra thing before season 5, we know that he's a good guy. We know Nate's a good guy. We've seen him, we know him, and we know that he doesn't have bad intentions with Sage. But ultimately, it doesn't matter whether he has bad intentions or not, because she's too young for him, and he, as the adult in that situation, should have seen that and should have broken it off with her, no matter how much he liked her or how like mature she was for her age, that like old chestnut, and he should have ended that. And I think that would have shown a lot of growth from him. And I think the fact that he had predatory relationships when he was younger, like specifically when he was 17, I think this situation would have been a great point to kind of bring that up again, and maybe for him to, I don't know, like express that he had dated someone older when he was 17 and it wasn't good for him, or I don't really know how they could have done it, but I think that would have been good, or just for him to, just put a stop to it, and to not continue to date her, because there's even a point when the police come to question them after Bart's death that he literally says, she's a minor, she can't talk to you. And it's like, do you not hear the words that are coming out of your mouth, Nate? Like, you literally just slept with her, and you're saying, like, she's a minor, you can't speak to her. Like, so, yeah, I feel like it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I loved Sage as a character, and I think she could have stayed in the season without, being with Nate. And she's just very overly sexualized, I feel like, for a teenager. Like, I mean, I guess they all are throughout the show. That's kind of like the premise of the show, is that they all have sex with each other. But at least in the earlier seasons, they were all the same age, right? Whereas now it's a bunch of 20-year-olds and this 17-year-old. Like that scene in the Thanksgiving episode when she starts kissing Nate and Chuck's like watching, and then she's like, I don't care if you watch, and like he says, oh, she's a keeper or something. Like, that feels weird to say for a bunch of 20-year-olds to say about a 17-year-old, I think, anyway. So yeah, I think Sage was a cute character. I really liked her. I liked that she was the queen bee and all that stuff, but her relationship with Nate, I think, should have ended when he found out how old she was. And they don't end up together anyway, so it feels a little bit like pointless for them to have been together for like basically all of season 6, when he could have been having a proper relationship that then could have been like endgame for him. At 10, I have Jordan, and I feel like this might be one that people don't even remember, but she was like a literary professor or something at Yale, and when Nate and Dan and everyone went to go visit Yale for the weekend, he had basically, tried to start something with her. I think they ended up like kissing.
Hello?
Nate?
Help you what?
That's Nate Archibald.
No, that's Dan Humphrey.
Ultimately, it just didn't go anywhere. So that's why I have her low down, because I feel like there just wasn't a lot to go off of. But also, she, in order to be like whatever she was, because Dan gives her his like application to read or something, so she's obviously old enough to work there, which then is also weird because, like I said, season 2 we're looking at 17-year-olds. So yeah, another weird one. But he also did lie to her about who he was, so I guess I don't really know. But yeah, basically there wasn't a lot to go off on this one, but it was still less weird than the others. At number 9, I have Brie Buckley, and I love the actress that played Brie, but I just didn't like her character at all. I wasn't invested in them. Even when they were like having kind of like sweet, cute, like moments that were supposed to be cute, I still just didn't really care for them.
If your family finds out and doesn't like it?
Maybe they'll call and complain.
Ooh.
She also didn't really seem to care for Nate. Like, once she found out about Carter and the family and all that stuff, like, they kind of used each other to make each other's families jealous, and then he actually did get invested, but then she was more invested in, obviously, getting Carter. So, yeah. This one was just kind of boring for me. I wasn't invested in it. I think that's Brie. Yeah, there's Brie right there. I feel like this one was a bit boring. Just kind of missed the mark for me. At 8, I have Ivy. And they didn't really date or anything like that. They just shared a kiss, or like 2 kisses, I think.
I'm game if you are.
Yeah.
We are going to be different from Gossip Girl and other anonymous sites which traffic in damaging.
She had to kiss him to become Blair's bridesmaid, and she also kissed him in the park, I think, to like distract from Max or something. And he was kind of confused, like he kind of liked her, but then it seemed like she didn't like him, and I don't think she really was that interested in him. It was more just kind of her getting caught up in all the Upper East Side stuff. But I think they could have had potential to be a cute couple, but I don't know. I know it's like the premise of these teen shows is that everyone dates everyone, but having obviously been with Serena, I think dating her cousin was weird. So yeah, but then obviously she isn't her cousin, so then I feel like it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was dating her when he still thought that she was Serena's cousin, so I feel like that's a bit weird. But if they had started dating after that, like once it was revealed that she actually wasn't related to Serena, I feel like maybe they could have worked. But I just feel like also she wasn't ever, it didn't seem like she was ever really that invested in him. It was more he was kind of interested in her. At number 7, I have Juliet. Okay, we've got Juliet Sharp. And I have her this high because even though it started out as a scheme, like, I think she did really grow to actually genuinely care for him in a way that a lot of his other love interests didn't.
We should both get ready, and I am gonna start by taking a cold shower.
So she has that going for her, but I think the fact that, yeah, she did just scheme a lot of the time that they were together and lied to him, I just don't think it was ever going to work out. But he did, you know, trust her, and he did believe her over other people, and, like, you know, kind of stood by her up until obviously the reveal that she had drugged Serena. So yeah, I feel like she did care about him, and maybe if they had just met outside of the scheme, maybe it would have worked. At number 6, I have Blair Waldorf, and I wonder if people have her like higher than I have her, or maybe even lower than I have her. But I love Blair and Nate as friends. I think they are one of the most hilarious duos on the show. They have such good scenes together, such good like chemistry as friends, and it's really funny. So I love that. I think them as a couple is iconic. Okay, it's iconic to the show and also to the books. I've been reading the books well, just because I wanted to read them, but also I'm going to make a video for you guys. I made a video on the first book, so you can go back and look at that if you want to, but I'm going to do like a video on all of them. But reading about them in the books as well, they are like iconic in the books, iconic for the show. But ultimately, I think they just weren't meant to be. I actually enjoyed them as a couple the second time around. Not forever, but just for the time that they were together. I don't think they should have ended up together or anything like that, but obviously in that first season, he's not a good boyfriend to her, and she also does things that make her not a great girlfriend to Nate as well, but obviously he's the bigger culprit here. And when they then break up and then get back together, I actually really liked that. I thought it was really sweet. I thought when they kissed in the park in the snow was really lovely, and he kind of gave her that pep talk when she needed it, after she, you know, didn't get into Yale. And I just really loved how their story came to an end as well, that she realised that he was just her high school boyfriend and that was okay, and that she got to go to prom with him and have like her fantasy prom that she always wanted, but ultimately he was just her high school boyfriend. And I thought that was really sweet, and I really loved that from them. So I have them lower down, not because I didn't enjoy their relationship, but because I think they are amazing as friends, and I loved how their relationship ended. So I wouldn't have had them end up together in the end. Okay, now breaking into the top 5, and at number 5 I have Lola Rads, and Lola comes into it in season 5, I think season 5, and obviously she is the real Lola Rose, the real Charlotte Rhodes, and once she kind of exposes Ivy's con plan and whatever, she starts dating Nate. He really likes her. He meets her first, actually, like, because she is like works for a catering company. So he meets her, and initially she isn't interested in like the Upper East Side world or anything like that, but he manages to kind of win her over, which was quite sweet.
I wanted an honest relationship, and I shouldn't have betrayed your trust.
Thanks. I'm just glad everything's on the table now.
But I think for me, what brings this relationship down is that I don't really like Lola. I find her annoying, which is no shade to the actress or anything, but I think just her character wasn't written that well. And yeah, I don't know. I think the fact that she still stood by her mum, even after her mum literally stole her money, conned their family, and also didn't tell her that who her dad was, and that her dad was actually also her like cousin's dad. Like, it was just too much. So the fact that she like stood by her after all that and like defended her and was like, oh my god, like how could you do this to her, like, babe, she's pure evil. But I guess, you know, she's her mum, whatever, so I'll let that slide. But yeah, I don't know, she started to get more kind of irritating to me when we kind of delved into her more. That sounds really harsh, but like her like acting stuff, and then her being obsessed with the fact that Serena was Gossip Girl, and yeah, her and Nate like scheming together, even though everyone else was handling it, and they just ended up messing everything up. And then yeah, ultimately she leaves to go, and I think it's like Broadway or something. But yeah, so I didn't really enjoy them as a couple just because I didn't really enjoy her as a character. But out of everyone, I think he did really like her, and he, you know, wanted her to move in and everything. And they were the right age for each other, which was good. But yeah, like I said as well, I think him dating Serena's cousin is also weird because he has so much history with Serena. A bit of a weird pairing. So I feel like 5 maybe is a little bit high. Maybe I should have swapped her and Blair. But I don't know, maybe if it had been written differently, I could have been more invested in it. Okay, so at number 4, I have pushed number 4 down the list because I felt like I couldn't put number 4 where she truly is in my heart. Okay? And at number 4, I have Jenny. And if this was just purely for me and my delusions, Jenny would be at number 1. Because I love that bitch. Okay, I love her. I loved her and Nate. I thought her and Nate was so just, they were everything. I love them so much. And for me, they would have been endgame. Okay? For me, they would have been endgame. But I have to go based on what we actually saw in the show. And for that, I put her at number 4.
Whatever you decide.
In my delusional mind, I think they were perfect for each other. I thought their scenes together were so cute, but ultimately they didn't have a huge amount of time together, and he does end up choosing Vanessa over her. So I kind of had to take that into consideration as well. And the fact that she kind of chases him through season 3 and he's just not really interested, and kind of shows that he sees her more as a friend than a relationship. Yeah, I felt like I had to put her lower for that, just kind of based on that compatibility part, that he wasn't really feeling it like that, which is such a shame because they were just so cute in season 2. They were so cute in season 2. So yeah, in my heart of hearts, Jenny's number 1. But for this list, being logical, I put her at number 4. They first start like flirting and stuff in season 2. They end up kissing and it seems like they might be getting together, but then Vanessa, she gets rid of the love letter that he wrote for Jenny, so Jenny never sees it. And honestly, I think Jenny, she was a teenager, so she was acting how the other teenagers do, like full on sabotage. Okay, was it the best idea? No, it wasn't. But then for him to then like be like, oh, but Vanessa's just, you know, she was the bigger person in this situation, when she was the one that initiated all of this by lying to Jenny, saying that she wasn't seeing Nate, that they were going to call a truce and they weren't going to fight over him, and she took the letter and all that stuff. Like, the fact that Jenny came out the bad guy and Vanessa came out the good guy doesn't feel fair. I feel like both of them acted poorly and Nate should have just left it at that. So yeah, that's whatever. But I just thought they were always so sweet, and I just loved them, and I loved how kind he was to her and how protective he was, and I just thought they were so sweet. That season 2 is just everything. Like, them in season 2 was so good, with the fashion designing and him supporting her in that, and they were just, I just loved them. I just loved them. And yeah, I did. So maybe you would have put her way lower than that, but for me, they should have ended up together. In my delusional mind, they reconnected at Serena and Dan's wedding and they got back together, because that's the world I want to live in. Okay, so now we're breaking into the top 3. And at number 3, I feel like we have an underrated queen, because I adored her, and I think Gossip Girl getting rid of her when they did was a huge mistake. And I'm talking about Raina Thorpe. I love Raina Thorpe, okay? And I thought her character was so good. Her character was so well written. She had so much depth. Like, there was so much to her character that I just loved. I thought she was amazing.
My dad and I, we're Notre Dame fans.
Oh, no. No, you can't be. What are you talking about?
Guess kids are out of the question.
Her and Nate was so cute together. Their scenes was so sweet, and I feel like he just really cared for her and she cared for him, and they were just so well suited. And yeah, like I said, you know, this like the right age for each other. Like, she was emotionally mature enough for him, and he was kind of, I think, growing with her. And I just loved that. And, you know, she had her own life. She had all these goals and ambitions and things that she wanted to do. And I just think he really needed someone like that. I think that was just such a good match for him. And I loved them. And when she said that she was moving back to Chicago, I thought that was such a shame. Like, they should have brought her back in season 6. She would have been such a good endgame for Nate, with the way that the show was written, right? Because obviously you've got Serena and Dan end up together, and people want, you know, Serena and Nate, or they have their feelings about that. But I think having Serena and Dan together, right, keeping that together with no possibility of Serena and Nate together, Raina was a great choice for Nate, because she was, yeah, like I said, she was headstrong, she was gorgeous, she was so sweet and kind, and she was funny, and I think they would just been in such a power couple. Because think of it, like 5 years in the future, she would have gotten off that plane with him or whatever. He was like running for mayor, he was doing The Spectator. She would have had her own business and her own things that she was doing. They would have been thriving together as a power couple. Would that not have been amazing? And then they would have like gone to the wedding together and sat together. And I just think that would have been such a good ending for him. Like, the fact that he ends up single, I feel like is such a shame. And like, I get it, because obviously, but then you don't want everyone to be in relationships. I guess that's not realistic to life, but yeah, I just think he deserved to be happy. That man deserved to be happy. And I think him and Raina would have just been chef's kiss for Endgame. I really do. Okay, so we're at the top 2. And this is where I feel like the hot take is really going to come back to bite me, and you guys are not going to be happy with me, but this is how I feel, okay? At number 2, I have Serena van der Woodsen. And I know that there are a lot of Serenade shippers out there, and I am one to a certain extent. I talked about this a lot in my ranking Serena van der Woodsen's love interest video, but I feel like Serena did not deserve Nate Archibald. I'm sorry, but she didn't. I think season 1, season 2, Serena, 100%. They would have been so cute together if she had stayed like that, but they ruined her character. And so when they got together and she was lying to him all the time, and, you know, she was more invested in this other stuff in her life, and they just weren't working, I thought it was a real shame, because we'd waited quite a long time to see them together, and for it to not really be that fulfilling was a shame, I think.
What are you doing here?
Hey.
Oh gosh, you weren't supposed to be here until tomorrow.
I know. My grandfather got sick of watching me text you, so he had the plane bring me home early.
Remind me to send him a gift.
I think how he was towards her was just so sweet. I mean, that is one of my favorite scenes of all time, when he tells her that he loved her when they're in the bar together, and the way that he always protected her and always showed up for her and just loved her. He just adored everything about her, loved her so deeply, the whole show, I think. And so for them, when they got together, for her to kind of not really treat him that well, I think was a real shame. And like I said, I think Dan and Serena deserve each other. I think Serena did not deserve Nate. So that's why I have her at second. I think they shared some really sweet moments, and I loved their dynamic. I loved their friendship, and I loved their scenes together. But in terms of Endgame, I know a lot of people think that it should have been Nate at the wedding and all this stuff, but I just don't. I think for me, they kind of fizzled out when they actually got together, because of how she treated him and how their whole relationship kind of went down, and she kind of messed him around towards the end. And I feel like she always wanted Dan. You know, I think any time that it came for her to choose, she always chose Dan. Even if she never actually said it out loud, it was obvious that she was going to pick Dan. And I just think that Nate deserves better than that. So that's why I have Serena at number 2. So at number 1, I have Vanessa Abrams. And I know, okay? I know you guys don't like Vanessa. But there's a video coming. I feel like I say this about everything, but there's a video coming. Because I feel like Vanessa was done dirty, okay? And I'm not going to get into it now. I'll go on a huge tangent. But Vanessa had so much potential in the early seasons, and even towards the end, I don't find her that irritating. I feel like she gets a lot of unnecessary hate, as does Jenny, queen of Gossip Girl. So I think I see where people are coming from certain aspects, but I think they really played into the fact that the audience didn't like her, and therefore really forced her into being a villain when she wasn't.
God, this does feel like that doorstep moment.
And what moment would that be?
Yeah, that's the moment.
I think Nate and Vanessa they're one of my favorite couples. Sorry. They're so cute. In the first season, when she helps him with the SATs, and then he convinces her to take the SATs so that then she can go to college. It was just so sweet, and they were so cute together, and they were kind of that perfect, like, opposites attract kind of thing, and they weren't sure if they were interested in the same things, but then they made the effort to show interest in each other's, you know, hobbies and things like that. And I just thought it was really cute. I thought it was a real shame how they ended, that he just kind of chose the Vanderbilts and like said, oh yeah, me and Vanessa are kind of like obviously broken up, but he hadn't actually really spoken to her about it, and it wasn't that obvious that they had broken up. I have a hot chocolate now. Now we're really feeling the Christmas vibes. But yeah, I thought they were so sweet until they ended that way. And then they kind of left season 2, like maybe they were going to get back together when they went backpacking, but they only spent like one night together. Then they kind of, yeah, like drifted apart after that, and she obviously went with Dan. But yeah, I just think it was a shame. I think had they not ruined Vanessa's character, and maybe had she not left, they could have gotten back together in the end, and I think that would have been really sweet. They were just so wholesome. They were just so genuinely cute in the beginning, and I think they had a lot of potential there for, yeah, them to get back together. But then obviously when Vanessa did everything that she did, she burned bridges with everyone, including Nate. But yeah, she just always looked out for him and tried to help him with the Katherine thing, even though it kind of backfired, and also helped him with the whole thing with his dad and the FBI and everything. You know, it just seemed like, even though she didn't go about it in the right way sometimes, she did really love him and care about him in a way that, like I said, I don't think any of the love interests I've spoken about today did. As much as I love Jenny, I think she was a lot more focused on her fashion career and that stuff than Nate, and fighting with her dad. And then with Serena, she was so much more focused on William and that whole thing, and then Ben, to think about Nate, and then Raina obviously had everything going on with her dad and stuff, even though they were really sweet. And I just think that Vanessa was the only one that truly devoted her time to him completely and loved him in the way that I feel like he deserved to be loved. Nate Archibald deserved to be loved, okay? He did. He just did. So that is it, guys. That is my ranking of all of Nate Archibald's love interests. And let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I'm sure your opinions will differ from mine. But that's what I love. I love to hear why you loved people, why you didn't love people, all that stuff. I just think that is so fun. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy the videos I have lined up for you up until Christmas. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Merry Christmas, bitches.